What you see directly behind me is one of nature's truly spectacular trees. It's the arbutus, and it's the subject of today's serious wood. So come on up, I'll meet you by the tree and we can talk about it. If you've ever lived on or visited the west coast of British Columbia, you've probably seen an arbutus tree because it's one of the few trees that loses its bark every year. And when the bark disappears, it exposes this, the new bark, which has the feeling and appearance of human skin, which what really gives this tree the unique look that everyone recognizes. The arbutus tree loves sunlight, and because of that, it's developed the unique ability to grow in almost near soilless conditions. That way, it doesn't have to compete with all the other trees in the forest. In May, it produces wonderful bunches of white flowers that have this incredible fragrance. But here in July, the flowers have turned into these wonderful little green berries. In another couple months, they'll be orange. In another couple months past that, they'll be red. And when they're red, dozens of animals and birds from around this area will come and gain nutrition from this tree. Well, that's enough about the tree. Come on over here. Let's talk about the wood, because man, this tree produces some serious wood. Oh. And there we are, a beautiful piece of arbutus. As you can see, it's sort of a cream white with these subtle shades of pink in it. And as you get closer to the center of the wood, you get this beautiful sort of orange brown. Oh yeah, that's an extremely hard wood. And you can see that when you look at the growth rings, because really you're talking about 0.5 millimeter each. And that's the key to how this tree can survive hurricane force winds out in the middle of a steep crag. You can't cut this tree down. It's illegal to cut arbutus down in BC. So you have to get wood like this from windfall or from a tree that's just passed on. But what can you make from a tree like this? Because it's obviously got a lot of tension built of it. Very poor choice for cabinetry, very poor choice for furniture or anything like that. But I've got an idea for this serious piece of wood, and it's back in the shop. I'll see you there. Hey, welcome to my shop. Come on in. Serious wood deserves a serious project, not some knick-knack piece of crap that's going to end up in the garbage in 2 years, because we got enough of that crap in the world. What I've chosen for the arbutus is this, a bud vase. Glass tube, lead weighted on the bottom to give the structure a lot more stability, and then we're going to do this. Take it up a couple notches. We're going to do the 7 sides on the base here, really make it something special. It's going to make that arbutus go bang. That's what I love. So pitter patter, let's get at it, because there ain't nothing to it but to do it. So much of good woodwork is in the prep. Sharp tools, beautiful wood, good piece of machinery, bound to end up with a fabulous project. "150 years ago, all furniture was handmade and usually made by a master craftsman. That's why it lasts so long. But it's also the selection of the wood. So let's take a break and talk about that. In order to understand how a piece of furniture like this one can last 200 years or more and still look beautiful, still function perfectly, you need to understand the most fundamental thing about wood. It moves. It may appear to be stable, but it's actually more like a very hard sponge. And that sponge wants to become the same moisture content as the air around it. Now, as the environment around this wood changes and as the seasons change, wood expands and contracts and shifts in order to accommodate those changes in moisture. And how it was cut from the log directly determines how it's going to move during those shifts. So let's take a close look at this. Well, the way they cut wood right now is you got a log like this, and they just take a series of bandsaws and they cut through the wood like that. So there's very little waste, but unfortunately it produces wood like this, and you can see the curve from the cut of that bandsaw, and you can also see how the wood has cupped, because that's what happens. The grain is unpredictable. It not only cups, but it can twist over its length, it can bow over its length, and that's not really conducive to long-lasting furniture. Well, 150 years ago or more, they had a very different way of cutting wood, and let's take a look at that. They had 2 logs that they tied off in the middle. They put the log they wanted to cut on top of those, and they had some poor bugger on top and another guy underneath with this big long saw, and they hacked right through on either side of the center. Then they turned the log 90 degrees and they did the same thing, hacked through on either side of the center. This produced quarter sawn wood, right? Because there's 4 pieces. Now, if you look at that grain very closely, you see this vertical grain. The grain stands perfectly straight up and down. And because of that, when it takes on and loses moisture, it never warps, it never cups, it never bows. It only moves uniformly up and to the side. And if you understand that, and you're a great craftsman, like this person was, you can make a joint that'll accommodate centuries of movement. And that is the real reason why antique furniture lasts so long and the furniture today doesn't. Well, that's that. Let's get back to the shop. Well, that's a match set of Arbutus bud vases. 7-sided, lead weight on the bottom with glass tube inserts. I'd give that a 1.5 thumbs up. I'm Scott Bellway. I'll see you again next time.